Rogers TV.
Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Out of the Fog. I'm your host, Laurabel Mba. I know I've heard the saying, the future is female, but what exactly does that mean for Newfoundland and Labrador? On today's episode, we'll be joined by two amazing guests, Reanna George, who was a member of the Future of the Vote as a delegate, and Kate Cadigan, who sits on the leadership team of Equal Voice NL. I can't wait for you guys to meet these two wonderful and powerful young women who talk a little bit about their experience with both Equal Voice NL and being part of the Future of the Vote program. So sit back, relax, and let's get into it. Welcome back, everyone. And then I am now joined by Kate Cadigan, who was a member of the Future of the Vote, and she's also part of the leadership team with Equal Voice. Kate, thanks for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me.
So I'm so excited to find out a little bit more about what your role was with the Equal Voice as a leadership member. So what was your role on the leadership team?
So my role right now on the leadership team is we work together. I think there's about 12 of us right now. So it's the biggest leadership team that Equal Voice NL has ever had, so that's awesome. And we work together to come up with creative ways to really introduce people into the world of politics, especially women and gender diverse people. Yeah.
So when did you first get involved with Equal Voice?
So one of our co-chairs, Courtney Clark, I've known for a few years now, and you know, she's a really good mentor of mine. So she really introduced me to Equal Voice a few years ago, thinking that it might be something I was interested in, and I've kind of stuck with it ever since. So I'd say it's been about 3 years.
Okay, so what has been your favorite part?
I probably future favorite part, an opportunity. They're doing it and share what I'm doing in mine. It was just a really amazing opportunity.
Okay, so a lot of our viewers probably don't know much about what Future of the Vote is. So do you mind explaining the program to them and what it encompasses?
Sure. So Future of the Vote, which was previously known as Daughters of the Vote, but we updated it this year to make it more inclusive, is an opportunity that was offered to 40 gender diverse or women across the country, or not the country, the province from Newfoundland and Labrador to come and spend a day in the House of Assembly. And so we were each assigned and sit in their chairs. We did a full debate on the sugar tax.
Ooh.
Yeah, so it got a little heated, but it was really fun. And we also had like some sit-down workshops and seminars and stuff like that, just to learn about what makes a good leader and how we can put ourselves out there as women and gender diverse people.
So what age ranges are usually allowed to be part of the Future of the Vote program?
Yeah, so it was age range from 18 to 29. So it was a huge age range, and there's so many different people there, yeah.
So I just missed the cutoff, but
it's okay.
So as a future delegate, what was the part that you found most impactful?
I honestly have to say, like, outside of the debate and outside of the workshops and everything that was planned, for me, the most impactful thing was having conversations with both the delegates and the MHAs who were there in the morning to talk with us. I believe like you learn a lot through conversation, and it was really interesting to hear everybody's different point of views, both from the delegates who are my age or from some older people who are more experienced.
So with meeting other delegates who are either women or gender diverse individuals who are basically either dipping their toe into politics or have been involved before, what was that experience like for you?
Pardon me?
So what was that experience like for you for meeting the other delegates who are just dipping their toes into politics?
It was awesome. Like, there's no other way to say it, because for me, who's been interested now in for a few years and seeing like what the world's all about, this isn't my first time doing something like this and putting myself out there politically, but for other people whom this might be their first time, it was really interesting to see like how engaged they were and how interested they were, and everybody's passions, and everyone was so well spoken and respectful, especially during the debate. It was like, I just sat back and watched. I was like, oh my God, like the talent and the passion was just, it was amazing to see.
So what area did you get to represent, and is that where you're from originally?
So originally I'm from Logie Bay, but I moved into town a few years ago and I'm living in St. John's East, but I was representing Mount Scio, so just my next door neighbor. So I was paired with Minister Sarah Studley.
So what was that like, getting to meet Minister Studley and getting to find out how she represents the area versus how you would like to represent the area if it were your seat?
It was amazing having the conversation with her. We met the week before Future of the Vote, and she took me around the House of Assembly. We got to sit down and chat about what it was like to be in politics as a woman. So that was something that was special, that I was paired with a woman, because I got to hear her point of view. Personally, I don't know what I would like to do if I were in that position. I'm still trying to figure that out, but it was really interesting to have like a candid conversation with an MHA, hearing about what it's like to be sitting.
That's amazing. So for people who are watching now who might be young women or other gender diverse individuals who are like, I don't know, maybe, kind of, sort of, what would you say would be a great first step for them?
I would say reach out to people or organizations like Equal Voice. We have so many different programs that we offer, like Campaign College and other smaller events that we do that can get you into it slowly. Just because you participate in Future of the Vote or Campaign College doesn't mean you have to run. It just means that you're trying something new and learning new leadership skills, and I think that's what it's really about. Whether you end up in a political position or not, you're becoming a better leader in your community.
So that's awesome. So you talked about the fact that Equal Voice offers other programs.
Yeah.
What else is on their docket?
So we've got a lot happening right now and a lot in the works, but one of our biggest things that we did last spring, I think it was last spring, was Campaign College. So that was like, it was like school. So there was a few meetings and we had different speakers come in, and it was kind of teaching you how to run your own campaign. So for a lot of people, putting yourself out there to run politically can be terrifying, especially if you have no clue what you're doing, which most people probably don't if it's their first time running. So Campaign College offered like a little crash course on how to put yourself out there, run a campaign, reach out to people for help, all that kind of jazz. So that's probably one of the biggest things that we've done recently, along with Future of the Vote.
I can attest to the Campaign College because I got to be part of it last year, and it was truly tremendous getting to see everyone. So for people who are younger, who are not quite ready to be in who are not able to be part of Future of the Vote because they're not old enough and who aren't ready for Campaign College, are there programs that Equal Voice offers for people who are younger and still want to kind of get involved or get to know?
Yeah, so that's what we're working on right now, is making a program for kids or young adults who are still learning and still need to make that foundation before they can take the jump into something bigger like Future of the Vote or Campaign College. So we're hoping to create a program that is geared towards younger kids, especially like, I believe that if you learn stuff when you're younger, you'll carry it with you forward. So empowering those young girls and gender diverse people to become leaders when they're older.
Perfect. So what has been your favorite part about being part of Equal Voice, either on the leadership team or as a member of the Future of the Vote?
I think my favorite part, like I said, it's probably the same as what my favorite part of Future of the Vote was just learning everybody's stories and challenges. And it's really eye-opening to hear what everybody's been through to get where they are and the challenges that women and gender diverse people face. It really just opens you up to a whole other world. And before I joined Equal Voice on the leadership team, I was not aware, you always know, okay, yeah, women sometimes have different challenges than men, but I think it's really eye-opening to hear it directly from someone that this is why it was different for me, because I was a woman or I was gender diverse.
That's amazing. So for the people listening who might be in positions of power, who might be MHAs or other provincial status holders, what do you want them to know from the delegates or from someone like yourself?
I think the primary message that we want to send is that we're powerful and we can get stuff done, and we want to be there. We want to be making these decisions or at the table where these decisions are being made. And I think we're not trying to say we're better, but we're trying to say we're different and we deserve to be there. So that's the message I got from all the other delegates, and what I believe is that we're not trying to say that we're better than you. We're just trying to say that we're equal and we deserve a voice at the table.
Perfect. And what do you have to say for the young women and other young gender diverse individuals who are watching and listening to you? What do you want them to know?
Personally, I think that sometimes it can be scary putting yourself out there, especially if you don't really know what you're doing, but there's a huge supportive group of women and gender diverse people in this province who want you to succeed and want to see you do great things. And that's not saying only women want to see you do great things. Men also want to see you do great things. So you just need to put yourself out there, even though it's scary, try something new, reach out to those supports because you can do great things, and yeah.
So what does the future of the vote look like for you?
I think in the future, I want to see more women and gender diverse people in political positions, and it should be happening now, is what I think. You know, there's not enough women or gender diverse people in any of our levels of government right now, and there's no reason for that. That needs to change. So my future of the vote is see more women and gender diverse people in politics.
Thank you so much for joining me. It's been amazing to get to know your point of view, see where we share interests, and see what your hopes for the future are.
Thank you so much.
And we'll be right back, everybody. Welcome back, everyone. I'm now joined on the couch by Reanna George, who was a delegate at this year's Future of the Vote conference. Reanna, thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
So when did you first find out about the Future of the Vote college?
I heard about it a few years back, and at the time I was too young, and then COVID happened, and then so I kept my eye on it, so finally this year I was able to apply.
Okay. So what made it something you wanted to do? Because you heard about it before you could actually do it. So what made that stir in you that you wanted to be part of this?
I mean, it's 40 women filling the House of Assembly. Like, to me, like, why would you want to miss that opportunity? It's not something you see every day.
So that was the it for you. Were you always into politics, or was this like your first step?
I've made a few steps prior to it. It was actually at a meeting for another thing involving politics, a youth council, and that I heard of these other females in the group who participated in it.
Okay.
And got to hear it from there, but definitely helped me dive into it a little further.
So what was your experience like? And so where are you from, before we get into what your experience was like, where are you from originally?
So I'm from the south coast of Newfoundland in Bay d'Espoir. Okay. The electoral district would be Fortune Bay, Cape Lahoon.
Okay.
Yeah.
So did you get to represent where you're from when you got to be in the House of Assemblies?
I did, which was very exciting.
So what were the issues when you were there that you were kind of like, okay, I really want to get a chance to kind of talk about this and debate this, and if I'm actually holding this chair, what would I want to discuss?
Well, overall, being able to sit in a chair that represents my home, the main goal was just to have a small, as rural Newfoundland, it's a small area, have their voice heard. And by me sitting in that chair, I just felt it was a step towards that.
So this was your, I guess, second foray into politics, because you did the youth assemblies before that weren't part of Equal Voice. Mm-hmm. So with the Equal Voice program, what was different about it for you that kind of made it a standout thing?
I feel like there was a lot of voices that you don't overly hear now that were all able to come in. There was people from everywhere, and a demographic that's not really seen in the House of Assembly in our history is getting better today, but still progressing. And just be able to see all those voices that we don't really, not always, maybe not consider, but just haven't been there and present before. So being able to be a part of that.
That's awesome. So the end of the program was you guys getting to be at the House of Assemblies. Mm-hmm. But what was the rest of the program like? Like, what did you guys get to do?
So the rest of the program, all of it was amazing. So we got to sit and chat with our MHAs, which was pretty cool. that one-on-one with them. We also got to do a couple workshops where we got guest speakers to come in and listen, and we got to listen and interact, ask questions, do a few activities and stuff like that.
So was there any one of these experiences while you had guest speakers that kind of touched you specifically other than getting to sit in the house?
The workshops both definitely did. There was one where we had a panelist of speakers, and there was one speaker there that talked about Indigenous leadership, and because I have that in my background, that really touched me to hear their stories.
Oh my God, that's so fantastic. So as someone with Indigenous history in your background, was there any kind of just a special moment for you as you were there and taking part of this that you felt might not have been able to happen prior to this program?
Definitely, because it was something that was so open and I was able to connect to it so deeply. It can't explain.
Okay, so you're going to walk me through from the beginning of when you started with the program to your House of Assemblies. What was like day one? What was the first thing you got to do?
Like the day of?
Yeah.
So first thing was walking into the Federation building, which was intimidating for sure, but it was also like this buzz of excitement. And then you walk through and you're slowly meeting the other delegates, and like everybody's just like nervous, of course, because it's a big deal. But there's this like underlying excitement, and then you're walking through until you find where we're all going. Then we all meet, and then we all kind of, it was that awkwardness of who's going to meet who, what are we going to do, and then once we all started slowly getting through that, so I sat down with people I didn't know.
Okay.
So I threw myself off the deep end, but I'm going to meet new people today. So that's what I done, and it was pretty cool because you're sat down with these different people that you do not know, and you find out that we're all very different people, but we all came here with the same cause, the same goal, which was pretty amazing. And then we got to MHA, started circling around, and it was interesting to see because a lot of our MHAs are male, and then in a room full of females, and they're there supporting us being there. So that was, and then we had our workshops, and then we went to the House Assembly.
So you got to meet women that you've never gotten to meet with or work with before. How was building those connections and kind of developing that partnership? And sometimes if there were issues that you guys were on opposing sides on, how did you guys navigate that through the program?
Patience and listening to each other. I think those were the two key things.
Yep, so you guys found like you got to test those skills. Did you feel that it was something that you guys typically see happening in the House of Assemblies currently, or did you feel like you guys brought an extra vote of patience and understanding, both being women or women identifying persons in a situation where you were finally given power?
Yeah, I think that was definitely, I think we all knew what a privilege it was to be sitting in those chairs, and that a lot of women or identified women did not have before now. And so I think that definitely brought another layer to it.
So what comes next for you? So you've done this now. So you've done this, and this is your first time doing it. Is this something that you think you're going to try to do again next year, or what are the next steps for you when it comes to politics or being more involved in the community?
Definitely, if they'll have me back next year, I'll be there. Just looking for more ways to be involved. Now, using all these skills that I learned and put in my toolbox from this event, and using those to be involved more in the community and take on more leadership roles.
So if you could say there was one skill that you're walking out of this with being like, if I learned nothing else from this program and this opportunity, this is the one that I want to continue to carry forward, what would that be for you?
That's a tough one because definitely learned a lot. But probably listening, like the level of listening that you need to be able to be a good leader, to be able to be a good supporter, is be able to listen, take in both sides, and without an opinion. And then once you have everything, if you're going to form an opinion, do it then.
That's awesome. So for every young woman and woman identifying person watching, what do you want them to know about either getting involved in politics, trying out for Equal Voice's next future of the vote, or just getting their voice heard by their leaders? What would you want them to know?
To take the chance to, like, this kind of event is for the shy person in the room or the loud person in the room. This is for everybody. And to take the chance, jump off the deep end. Even though it's scary, it will be totally worth it.
And what would you like the people from your community to know, to see, getting the chance to see someone who represents them from the beginning to the end, getting to be in the House of Assemblies? What do you want them to know about this experience and about your community as a whole?
That events like this do show that, small town Newfoundland does have their voice at the table.
That's absolutely amazing. I want to thank you so much for joining me and getting a chance to talk about what this program was like for you and what you've learned. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
And we'll be right back, everybody. I would like to give a very special thank you to my two guests tonight, Kate Cadigan and Reanna George. It was absolutely fantastic getting to hear about their experiences with the Future of the Vote campaign. A special thank you to Equal Voice for all they're doing to make politics and policy more accessible to women and gender diverse individuals within our province. But before we leave you, we have a special treat for you. This past week, there was a wonderful performance in honor of Judy Foote, our Lieutenant Governor from Holy Heart Theatre, that was put off by Shannon Thunderbird and Kate Dixon. So sit back, relax, and take in this wonderful presentation.
This next song, called Listen to the Earth and Sky, is dedicated to the Lieutenant Governor, Judy Foote, whose heroic efforts came to build a beautiful garden at Government House. And it's called the Heart Garden because there is a very large heart in the middle, surrounded by all the bushes and oftentimes the vegetation that Native people survived on. So it's very significant. She dedicated this to the children of residential schools and the survivors. She wants very much for you all to come and visit, if you can, and spend some time in the garden on the benches, sitting very quietly, and giving of your hearts and giving of your compassion, and that way we heal the country. Way hey 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 yo. Way hey 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 yo. Way hey 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 yo. Way hey 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 yo. Listen to the earth song. Listen to her breathe. Listen to the air song. High up in the trees, way hey 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 yo, way hey 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 yo, way hey 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 yo, way hey 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 yo.
Listen to the fire song, orange rest above. Listen to the
This program is brought to you by Ignite TV. Now you're in command. Visit Rogers.com for more details.
If you have a comment about this program, we'd love to hear it. Email or call us, or send us your feedback through social media.
When an impaired driver killed my brother DJ, my life changed forever. Life has changed for all of us during the pandemic, and many people are turning to alcohol and drugs to cope. Even though most of us are staying home more, police across Ontario are seeing an alarming increase in impaired driving and the horrible devastation that goes with it. Now, more than ever, we need your commitment to